welcome to Growing Oats Homestead. Today we're going to be working out in our shop, getting our deep freezers ready to stock with our latest steer that just went to the butcher about 3.5 weeks ago. The butcher shop called this morning, let us know that our steer was ready to be picked up. So that means it's time to get the freezers prepped and ready, make sure that there's room for when he gets here. Here you're just going to see me taking out the last little bit of beef that we had left from our previous steer. I'm just going to be moving it out of my way for now and setting it on top of one of our other deep freezers so that I have all of my space to work with whenever my husband gets home with those boxes of the new beef. Here I'm taking all of that beef that I just took out of the other freezer and I'm sticking it into our smaller black deep freezer. This is the freezer that I use to store things like our deer meat and the last little bits of certain types of meat that I need to make sure that I use up. So this is kind of our catch-all freezer for use this first. We just recently started using a new butcher shop for our beef and for our pork, and I just have to say that I am in love with how they package our meat when we pick it up. The butcher shop that we used previously was amazing quality, great service, but when you picked up your meat, it was in feed sacks, and it just makes it so much easier and so much nicer when you have it packaged in these boxes that are labeled on the side. You know exactly what's in the box and how to separate it and where it's going to be going in the freezer. It just makes the whole process so much easier. While the kids finish stocking the ground beef in our chest freezer, I'm going to start working on stocking the rest of it in this upright freezer where I like to store all of our beef. Now all of this meat is from just one steer, and it will last our family of 4 around 16 to 18 months. The freezers are stocked and now it's later in the day and it's time for me to start thinking about supper, and the kids wanted meatballs made with some of our new ground beef, which is perfect because I always like to try any of our new meat that we put in the freezer to see how it turned out. So tonight I'm going to be making meatballs. family has not purchased meat from the grocery store since 2018. And I thought while I was preparing supper tonight and moving through my normal evening routine that I would share a little bit about that and how we made that possible. When our homesteading journey began, one of the very first things we wanted to transition away from buying at the grocery store was our meat sources. And with a brand new homestead and absolutely no livestock, the way that we did that was through sourcing our meat through other local farmers. So we found a local farmer who raised Angus cows, and he would raise Angus steers from birth until their butcher date. He would get a live weight on the steers, price them for sale. We would go pick out the one we wanted, pay him for the live steer, and he would deliver it to the butcher. Once the steer was at the butcher shop, the steer became our responsibility, and we would provide the butcher with the cut sheet and how we wanted the beef processed. We would pay the butcher directly what was owed to him, and we picked up the meat when it was ready. That first year on our homestead, we sourced our chicken and our pork the exact same way. We found another local farmer that raised chickens and processed them right there on their own farm. And once a year, their farm would put up a whole bunch of processed chickens for sale. And in 2018, we bought enough to be able to have about 2 chickens per month for eating. Whole processed chickens bought straight off the farm can be a little pricey, and we didn't want to overstock on these because of that reason. So we planned for enough for 2 per month, and that is what we had. The next year, we started raising our own meat chickens for the freezer, and I was able to plan on at least 1 chicken per week. So we went from 2 chickens a month to having enough chickens for at least 1 for every week. When we first brought meat chickens onto our homestead, we split them up into a spring group and a fall group, but we quickly figured out that we enjoy just getting them all taken care of and processed at once, and so now we just do 1 large spring meat chicken raising and butchering, and then I have chicken stocked in our freezer that will last us completely for at least the next 12 months. Pork was not something that we sourced right away. We actually didn't find any locally raised pork until 2019, and we decided to purchase 1 whole processed pig, and we just absolutely fell in love with the quality. and that one pig lasted us a little more than 6 months. And in 2020, we brought our first pigs onto our homestead, and instead of just raising one, we planned on raising at least 2 each year to provide us with about 12 months worth of pork. We also heavily rely on hunting for filling our freezers. Each deer season, my husband and I both try to harvest, between the two of us, 4 to 5 deer. Regulations here where we live allow for more deer than that, but 4 to 5 is plenty for our freezer, and we don't harvest more than we need to stock our freezers for 12 months. Because of how our cycles go for stocking our freezer, it ends up being a beef is stocked about every 18 months, chicken is stocked once a year in the spring, and pigs are stocked in the freezer once a year in the spring as well. So through the winter months, we are beginning to not run out, but run lower on those meat sources. So in the winters, I heavily rely on the venison as our main protein that is on our table. Through the winter, venison actually makes up more meals in a week for us than any other source. So hunting is very important for our freezers and for our family throughout the winter. So here was just a very brief overview of how I stock our freezers and plan for having them stocked year-round, and how I keep at least 18 months worth of meat in our freezer at all times. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please like and subscribe for more homesteading, homemaking, homeschooling information and encouragement.